Hey guys, welcome to another video. This week I'm going to be making some summer crafts. The first one, you just need a solid color bath towel or beach towel and a bleach pen. And getting started, you just want to shake up the bleach pen and then you can use it to draw any design onto the beach towel. I recommend testing out the bleach pen in a small spot, waiting a couple of minutes, and seeing if the towel does change color before continuing. Some of the bleach pens I bought didn't seem to work. I was pretty disappointed when half my design came out in the wash on my first go on this. But that's pretty much it. You throw this in the wash after you're done with the bleach pen, and you have a custom beach towel. On to the next craft. You'll need a solid color cotton tote bag, as well as a cardboard box that fits inside the tote bag so that you can paint it easier, and that way the paint doesn't bleed through to the other side while you're painting. And definitely because this is a white tote bag, I'm first going to use some vinyl tape to tape off a section of the bottom of the bag. That way I can paint it easily, and when I set my bag on the ground, it won't instantly get dirty or stain. Plus, because of the tape, I should have a nice clean edge when I remove it. I decided to go with black fabric paint for the bottom of my bag, just because I figured it was the darkest and it wouldn't show the dirt as much if I ended up putting this bag on the ground outside, but I think any dark color would probably work fine. Once that's dry, you can remove the tape and unstick the box from inside of the bag. I replaced it with a sheet of Bristol paper, and then I drew on my design with some pencil. So this design is just a watermelon with a bite taken out of it. And the Bristol paper will do the same thing as the cardboard box did, and just make sure that the paint doesn't leak through to the other side, and stick the two sides of the bag together. With this pink paint that I'm using for the watermelon, it did take 2 coats to fully cover the black paint at the bottom of the bag. For cleaning up the edges and getting around some of the smaller areas, I did use the dotting tool to touch those up. Once the pink paint had dried, then I went around the edge of the watermelon and used the green. I think it's also important that I mention that I did the same design on the back of the bag as well. Once the first side was done, I was able to see the design through the other side of the bag and trace it on so that it actually mirrors the front of the bag on the back, and that way I knew it was in the same place, front and back. Just using the dotting tool here to add on some seeds. It's really nice how smoothly the second coat, or in this case the third layer of paint, goes on over top of a solid layer of fabric paint. Then just touching up some of the seams here with some black paint to finish this up. And on to the last craft. I have a template available in the description. I have it printed out here, and I'm going to use it along with my light board to trace onto some shrink plastic. And make sure you double check which shrink plastic you buy. Some shrink plastic doesn't allow you to color on it with colored pencils. This one does, because I specifically looked for that when I bought it. Some shrink plastic will only allow you to use markers, which would work fine for this too. Once I have this first shape colored in, I'm just taking a permanent marker and outlining it. Then I'm just going to get real close to that outline and just cut out the entire shape. After cutting it out, you just want to follow the instructions on the packaging for the shrink plastic in order to bake these in the oven. For the rest of the shapes on the template, I'm just going to follow the same steps that I used for the unicorn pool float. For the most part, these turned out pretty well. I think the only one I had a little bit of trouble with in the oven was the popsicle with the 2 sticks. For some reason, when it shrunk a little bit crooked. I recommend putting a piece of parchment paper above and below the shrink plastic. That way, as it melts, it has something to weigh it down, and hopefully it won't distort the shape as much as if you left it without something on top. And the great thing about using these templates that I create is that if at first it doesn't really work out, I can always try it again. I still have the same design that I can go off of. That way I don't have to completely redraw anything if I need to try something again. And that also means that if anyone watching this wants to make something that I've made, they can just print out the template and use that as a starting point. And if that's something that you're thinking of doing, I would love it if you post it on Instagram and tag me in it. I'd love to see what people are up to after they watch my videos, and it'd be cool to know if my templates are actually being used by someone other than myself. The last thing I want to do here is just turn these shrink plastic shapes into pins. So I'm super gluing some pin backs to them. And once the glue has dried on these, it's time to put everything together. And that about wraps it up for this video. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you try out some of these crafts, and I'll see you next week.